Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, February 20th, 2025. My name is Sam Shalhoub, and it's time for your Daily Dispatch Special Edition. We have a very special guest with us today, Mindy Pechenuk. She is one of the mayoral candidates for the Oakland, California mayor's race. Now, Mindy's been a longtime political activist, and she is an America First proponent. Mindy, welcome to the show.
Welcome and thanks for having me, Sam.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So tell me, Mindy, let's just jump right in. Give us some of your background in terms of the political arena.
Well, I'm proud to say I've been political for about 50 years of my life. I'm 73 now. And I started being political when I was in graduate school. I'm actually a trained classical musician. As you can see, my
Oh, wow.
stand in back of me.
Wow.
I'm a bassoonist by training. And I got very active politically with Lyndon LaRouche about 50 years ago because
The LaRouche Pack.
Yep, because I saw the world going into a crisis in the 1970s, and I couldn't sit back because my grandmother, who immigrated from Ukraine back in 1913, told me when I was 8 years old I was responsible to leave this world a better place than I found it. And that kind of stuck with me. And so I finally found a political movement that I agreed with spiritually, classically, and politically. And that started my path from New York to Chicago, then here to California. And I'm happily married for 42 years to my husband, who shares exactly the same views I do and does the same work I do. And then when Trump ran for president, uh, I said, oh my goodness, we got a man who is right for the job. And through my support to President Trump, and with my friends like Evelyn Jones and my friend Deborah Baber and my husband and I, we started California MAGA 2 years ago because we didn't see anybody organizing the Trump movement as a whole throughout the state. So we said, okay, we're going to found it. And we've been meeting on Zoom for every Friday night, pretty much for the last 2 years, with people all
Wonderful.
over the state who are active in supporting President Trump. And what he's doing now in the second is what should be his third term is remarkable. The rate at which he is transforming the country with Elon Musk. And and that's how I decided to run for office was, off of all that, I said, okay, I ran for state assembly against Mia Bonta, one of the worst state assembly women. I knew that was a race tough to win because of the Bonta family in this, here in California. But I ran, and that started a process of building a movement around
Now,
the
what year was that you ran for that state?
2022.
Okay.
I got in as a write-in candidate. That's how I made the top two, and then they caught on to that. And so then there was a primary. I was the top Republican, but didn't make top two because of a lot of stories there. There was, but that, I keep running because it is building a movement. And what I've seen here in Oakland, just to round up that question, now running for mayor, there's 10 of us running. Barbara Lee, former Congressman Barbara Lee, who should retire and I don't know, go play in a sandbox or something. She shouldn't be running for mayor of Oakland. It'll be horrible. There's a lot of big money behind her, as you can imagine. But what I'm finding, campaigning for Donald Trump, being out there as America First. I just put out a press release yesterday calling on Elon Musk. We need Elon Musk, the Doge, to come to Oakland to clean out our because we really don't have a budget problem. We have a leadership problem, which has created a budget problem. But it's really that ordering principle. And so,
Well, it's funny. So many states have been doing the exact same thing, calling for Doge to come into the state level. And I would not be surprised if that was to take place at some point.
yes, and I'm not going to let up on it. I mean, this city is so been mismanaged, and I think deliberately, if not just from ignorance, for decades. This didn't start, in the recent period. And so I decided I had to run for mayor because I don't think anybody else is competent. and that's not because of my ego. It's
Right. No,
because
it's fact.
knowing what I know and how I would lead. So that's
Well,
how I
and
got here.
what I think, Mindy, too, is, we have an inherent problem with the election system. 2020 was a joke. And even in 2024, if trying to tell people that Kamala actually got 74 million votes, no chance, not in my opinion. So, what were the two things that President Trump said when he came to California? I'll give you all the federal money you need under two conditions. Number
Mhm.
one, turn on the water. Number two, voter ID. So once that gets implemented, I think we're going to see a much better caliber of individual running for office. But I'm so glad that you're doing this now. And as General Mike Flynn has said many, many times, local action creates national impact. And I think that's exactly what you're doing.
No, you're absolutely right. And in fact, on the election integrity question, I'm part of a team called ITACA, which is Election Integrity Team Alameda County.
Mm.
And we formed together, we've been active about 2 years, and we put a lot of pressure on our Alameda County Board of Supervisors and got an election commission established. And we've been working with this election commission, which has taken up a lot of our ideas about how to make the changes. Because Alameda County is one of the worst register of voters that you have, where, where what we're considered is a voters' choice act county, which
What
means
is that?
what it means you don't have precincts anymore. You have these horrendous vote centers that are open for 11 days in some cases, other days 4 days. They don't check, there's no ID check because it's a state policy. You can't check ID. Um, it's and of course the mail-in ballot getting rid of mail-in ballots. Need to get rid of that. And I've actually done several writs of mandate to try to fight it, actually fighting pro se myself. And we are very active in the state. Our registrar of voter, Tim Dupuy, is a disaster. And you can hardly observe anything if you go down to observe. So it's a very important issue that President Trump made that demand and I remember when he came to California and spoke at the CAGOP convention, he said, then we got to get rid of these mail-in ballots. And he's right. And Oakland's even worse because Oakland is ranked choice voting. So all
Well,
the elections are ranked choice voting.
well, and my opinion is, Mindy, this has been going on for decades all over the country, especially here in California. It's been corrupt for a long time. And those covers are starting to get pulled back now. So when the exposure of 2020 takes place, it's going to start a cascade event, not just at the federal level, but at the local level as well.
Right.
And I, for one, am glad to see that happen. So, have you held office before?
Not officially, no.
Okay, so this is
No,
going to
no.
be your first foray into it.
Yep, yep. And I'm
Excellent.
ready for it. I figure at
Right.
73, you got to go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, what have you identified in terms of the Oakland landscape, in terms of the political atmosphere? What have you identified that is wrong or nefarious or inefficient? Then what would be some of the things that you would change?
Well, there's several, what I've seen, I've lived in Oakland now about 8 years, and the deterioration in those 8 years have been incredible. I mean, parts of Oakland look great on this. Other parts of Oakland, go to East Oakland, and I've done 7 ride-alongs with the East Oakland police. It's like a third world country.
Yeah,
Even not that far from my house, you walk the homelessness, and there's no reason for homelessness.
right.
And my point is
Well, there is when you're taking funds and moving them offshore through
right,
foreign
right,
aid and other things. But go ahead. Yeah.
right, exactly. Exactly. So what I see is that you got to go in like Trump has done with the White House. You got to go in, and that's why I actually wanted Elon Musk to come because what the budget that they have for decades has been based in speculation, bonds after bonds, doing nothing but chasing the debt. and NGOs, useless NGOs, where they create all these makeshift programs that don't do anything except collect money for somebody's pocket.
Oh, you
Meanwhile,
mean like the bullet train that we spent billions of dollars on that we
right,
have no train for?
exactly. And the same
Yeah.
thing here in Oakland. And the drugs, look, the fentanyl problem is huge here, and as one of the police officers told me, um, you always know when a new shipment of fentanyl comes in because of how many calls they get to come out with Narcan.
Mm.
So what I would do, I know some of it is not in the purview of the mayor, but I don't think the mayor is a powerless institution. I would reach out to President Trump and ask his federal help to, first of all, go after the offshore markets where the drug cartels, the bankers, the political leadership, and the human trafficking all work together. And
Well, and that's one of the most fundamental issues. It's the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, the fiat money system, it is ripe for nefarious activity and it has been
exactly.
for since 1913.
Yep, since 1913. And if you go back before that, back to the British Isles and their running of drugs, around the world. And
Right.
most people don't understand the role of the British financial interests and oligarchy in actually, wanting to subvert what the United States was founded on.
You mean the Act of 1871? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, and they go back to trying to stop Alexander Hamilton and Benjamin Franklin and John Quincy Adams, and it's and now we finally can. I mean, I think President Trump is taking it head on, and it's so wonderful what he's doing with Putin, what he's doing to solve the problems, what he's doing to clean out all the corruption. And I would do the same for Oakland. And that's why I, as mayor, would work with President Trump, because if you're going to stop the drugs, you're not going to stop it one step at a time. You got to cut it off at the source, then cut it off at the borders, and then you have to bring in the reinforcements to our police. And that's another big passion of mine. We need to increase the police department and get rid of the city ordinances. The Oakland city ordinances do not allow the police to do their job, and neither do
Right.
the federal oversight committees and the different
Right.
oversights. Their hands are so tied. If I hadn't done all those ride-alongs, I would not understand it the way I do.
Right.
And, and so, we have 50 illegal marijuana cannabis warehouses in Oakland itself. And we need the federal help to shut them down. We need to increase the, you have like 32 police officers on a shift. We need hundreds of police officers. The Oakland City Council just closed down the 2 police academies we had to save money. That's not how
Do you know what the population of Oakland is right now?
I believe it's, I may be wrong. I don't know why the figure 40,000 sticks in my head, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But, I don't, I should know it, but it doesn't ring a bell right now. But it's not sufficient. I mean, if you have a shooting, I was on a ride along, we had a shooting,
While you were on the ride along?
yeah, there was a shooting going on that we were called to. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And like 8 police cars converged on the scene. Now, if there was a incident somewhere else in Oakland, they can't leave
Right.
out they're on. So you have no police to go to the other incident. And the criminals all know this. And it's repeated criminals because we don't have a policy of keeping people in jail. We don't have a mental health facility that a lot of the people who are doing a lot of the stuff are need mental help. And there's not mental health facilities, all under the guise of saving money. So that's not how you run a city.
Right. Well, and I think part of that is a pre-planned, uh, how would I put it? A pre-planned plan so that they can destroy not only the cities, but the states.
Mhm.
And now that we have someone in the White House who's willing to stand up against the cartels, who's willing to stand up against the oligarchy of political figures that have been in power for decades. I think it's going to have a trickle down effect into the states for people just like you that have had enough and have decided, you know what, it's time to make a change.
Mhm. No, actually, I looked up how many people in Oakland. You got me curious.
Yeah.
About 435,000 in 2024.
Okay.
Which,
And whether or not we can trust the census, but at least over
yeah, yeah,
400,000 people.
yeah. I
Right.
thought my figure was off. And one good thing, if I don't know something, I will check it out.
Smart. We not know, none of us know it all. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
older I get, the more I realize that.
yep, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So let's say you get elected. What are your plans for day one?
day one is to go in and take that budget and have my team ready to go in there and take it apart. And we're going to get to the bottom of where things are going that they shouldn't go. See, I don't believe it's a money problem. I believe it's where things are going.
Of
And
course.
then we're going to redirect the budget in a different way. We're going to increase the money to police. We're going to increase the money to fire. We're going to, one of the things they just cut is money to Meals on Wheels. I mean,
Mm.
so we're going to redirect the flow of the funds to where it is needed, number one. And obviously that's not going to all happen in one day.
Right. Of
But
course.
that, and then I'm going to go after the city council on their ordinances. They need to change the ordinances right now on police. And I'm going to go right away. One of the first things is once I'm elected, even before I go into office, I want to call Donald Trump up and actually work with him so that when I do go take the oath of office, it's not, we're going to wait and see. Those policies have to go in right away and read. And the other thing I want to see very much, even though I know it's not all in the purview of a mayor, I don't think a mayor is just by what the charter says. I think the mayor has to work with other agencies. And one of the agencies to work with is the education of our children. Now, that's not it's under the school district, not under the mayor, but I want to have a conversation with these school boards because what they're doing to our children is they're destroying them and they're our future. So those are some of the measures. And then the drugs just have to be taken on right away. You are destroying people. And I want to get
Right.
into East Oakland and rebuild. I want to bring industry back to Oakland. That's the other one of my priorities, is to get industry and manufacturing back into the city
Mm.
and work with other cities to do this because you don't have any revenue here, but raising taxes is not the thing to do, which is, by the way, on the April 15th, which is when the election is, one of the measures on the election beside mayor is to raise the sales tax again.
Wow. Wow.
So we don't need that. We don't
No,
need to raise
no.
taxes. We need to become productive, get industry back, manufacturing back. That means cleaning up the crime. It means getting rid of the drugs. So to me, they're all one package. I can't separate them into separate things.
Right. Right. Well, it's an overall, it's a top to bottom rejuvenation of the city of Oakland. And I
Right.
think that it's long overdue, not just in Oakland, but in many cities here in California. I was born and raised here in Los Angeles. I
Okay.
live here now. I know it well. And I am encouraged at some level because I think the pressure from the federal level is increasing to the point where they won't be able to continue. When they had the last recall, not this most recent one, but the one before that, Mike Netter. Do you know who Mike Netter
Yeah,
is?
I know who Mike is. Yeah. I never met
Yeah,
him.
Mike and I are friends. And we had talked about it, what is going on, and I am convinced that there is no way he won that reelection after he was removed. And but again, it comes back to a fundamental understanding of the election system, and that has to change from the bottom up. And I hope that that's something that you're going to push in the Oakland area
Yes,
when you get elected.
absolutely. I mean, one of the first things that, you need to do is this county needs to be which includes obviously Oakland, Alameda County, just to stop it being a Voter Choice Act county. And I think
What exactly does that mean, Mindy?
it means it's counties can selectively decide to be Voters Choice Act. Not every county is in California. And Oakland chose, Alameda County chose to go that route. And it means you see, when you get rid of the precincts, you and I remember the days you used to go to your local precinct, everybody
Right.
knew each other, it was, they even checked your ID to make sure you were okay. Everything was up and fine. Well, with the Voters' Choice Act, you don't have precincts anymore.
Mhm.
You have these huge vote centers where nobody knows each other. You can go to any vote center to vote. Everything's done on a poll pad with no, they don't check your ID. They say, "Is that your address?" Yeah, yeah, that's my address. I live there, sure. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
and there's no personal accountability. And so, and what they do is here in Alameda is voting. Look, the mail-in ballots go out March 17th for this election. Election day is April 15th. Mail-in ballots are accepted for a week after April 15th if they're postmarked by April 15th. But they're still counted and taken in for a week after. So you have a voting period that goes from March 17th, goes from March 17th to after April 15th, April 20th. That's too long for an election. It should be
Of
one
course, of
day.
course,
One
of
day. We
course.
just need one day. And
I
that's
agree with paper ballots and
yes,
pens.
exactly. Paper ballots. And I do agree with you, Sam, that when with Trump in the White House, it's going to come down here. That's what I keep telling everybody. We're not fighting just a little local fight. This is not little Oakland. You have or California. You have a whole with Trump what he's doing, and he's only been in office what, a month?
Yeah,
Not even yet. And oh, actually, today's a month. And and he it's going to affect everything. And so if we're
absolutely.
working to pave the way, that's why I my favorite thing is being known as a Trumper here in Oakland, because you're drawing other people out who think the same way, number one, but we're afraid to go forward. And second thing is you're changing other people's minds, because they didn't get to know Trump because of the media and all this other ideology that rattled in the head. And I think we're
Yeah, Trump derangement syndrome.
right,
It's a real
exactly.
thing.
Yeah. And I just love going, Oakland's mostly Democrats, so I love going right into the fire, and taking it on and changing people.
Well, and I'm not a proponent of Democrat versus Republican because
Neither
there's
am I.
enough rhinos in there that
Right.
they are not truly Republicans. I like to look at, there's an old gentleman years ago that said, he goes, Sam, he said, I can't hear a word people are saying because their actions speak so loudly. And I
Mhm.
think that can be applied to life, one of which is the political realm, geopolitical realm.
Right.
And it's more about what people do versus who they say they are. And I think we're in the midst of a complete revival in terms of people waking up. I've been in this fight for almost 40 years.
Mhm.
And I can remember back in the late 80s talking to people about certain things that today are common knowledge, and they thought I was crazy. But I've seen more people wake up in the last 4 years than in the last 4 decades. So we are moving in a direction where we need people like you in office to carry that torch. So I, for one, am glad to see that you are doing this, Mindy. I wish you nothing but the best. Please tell our viewers where they can find you, what your social media is, so they can reach out to you if need be.
Great. And I do agree with you, Sam. This is not about Democrat versus Republican. And I say that in all my statements. It's about principle. And we have to come together on principle. So I agree 100%. Everyone can reach me at my website is simple, electmindy.com. That's my website. Go there. I try to keep it updated with new statements as I come out with them. Also, you can reach me at info@electmindy.com. That's my email. And I'm also on X. You can find it Mindy for Okland. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah, that's my most active. I'm on Facebook, but I don't do that much with it. My more active is on X.
Well, what I'll do is I'll put your website in the comment section of the video once I get it uploaded to all the platforms
Great.
so people can reach out to you. Well, Mindy, I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Sam.
much for coming on the Daily Dispatch, and I hope that we can do it again soon.
Yes, so do I. And thank you for having me. It's been great and fun.
Absolutely. Okay, Mindy. Well, have a great day, and
You
we'll talk
too.
soon.
Take care, Sam. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye-bye.